Hello and welcome to GiFTgive. This webinar is designed for nonprofits to help prepare for showcasing needs. When you are preparing to use GiFTgive, for most of you, this is going to be a brand new way of doing fundraising. So it helps if you can get prepared in advance, and that's why we've put together this webinar. You want to be clear about what you are going to try to accomplish, and that will allow you to be more efficient with your time. First, we want to review your corporate or organization's message. Does your organization's message fit well with the presentation of needs? You have a story. Does your story include the idea that people are coming in to look at your needs, or do you need to add something to it? Do you have a slogan that you use to grab people's attention? Because that's something that you're going to want as they are surfing through the net looking at your needs. The question you want to ask is, what can you do to grab the donor's attention more effectively? And do you need to say more to connect your larger global message of your organization to the individual needs themselves? You see, presenting needs is really all about going from the general to the specific. Then we want to analyze your donor base. Take a minute to think about who your donors are, their current donors. How well do you know your donors? Can you say what sort of donor already likes to support your nonprofit? Because chances are you're going to find more of them out there. And these are ones you definitely hope to find because you already know that they like supporting your cause. Knowing your donors better helps you to present your needs more effectively. So what are your needs specifically? This is where we start making a list of the needs that you're going to present on the site to donors coming by. First, you can look in your budget. Look for significant cost items that could be broken out and presented. They may even be small items. For example, a church that has a budget to fund its music department. Somewhere in that music department is a need to purchase new music stands. Well, that's a perfect need to present to donors to buy directly, music stands. And you may find them by asking the department, or you may find them by looking in the budget. We also want to talk to your operational people. Sometimes the needs come from the front line, and sometimes they come from the administration side. And you'll need to consider which way you want to go and which ones you want from either side. You might ask yourself, what supply limitations are slowing progress on the front lines? Where is there a bottleneck where a need that's met directly could help? Also, what is the wish list at the director of operations level? The people on the front lines know what they need, and they know the things that they just wish they could have. Sometimes you want to canvass them to get their complete list of needs. Also, ask yourself, where can donors feel that they make the greatest impact? Some needs are a little bit harder to connect to for a donor. So you want to be looking for needs that will have a significant impact. Once you've begun to list these needs, it'll be helpful if you can catalog them. And by that, I mean to arrange them in order that makes sense. So first, try to make sure that this basket of needs has different costs or different levels of priority or different purposes and functions, a wide variety of needs. You might want to categorize them by emotional impact. By that I mean there's some needs that touch the heart. Some needs are just uplifting and encouraging. Some needs can be humorous. That's okay too. Always be asking yourself this question: why does it matter to a donor? What's going to help the donor engage? Donors will react to different stimuli. You can't be sure what they're going to like and when, so try several different ones. And as you're categorizing your needs, gather all the facts about those needs up front. For example, how much do you use of a particular item? And how often do you have to restock? How expensive are these items? How helpful are they in the process? Is there any leverage that you're gaining by that? And I'll give you a quick example. One nonprofit asked for drinking fountains. And they rationalized this by saying that drinking fountains would allow them to save several $100s a month that they were spending on disposable cups. That kind of information, or cost-benefit information, can make a big difference in a donor's mind. Donors like to know the details. Then we want to prepare the needs, to start thinking about how you will present them. We suggest that you gather specific stories from your staff, the people on the front lines who know how a particular need will make a difference, to whom it matters, and be specific. We suggest that you gather up video that you've shot in the past and photos that you've taken, or make new video and photos in advance that will help tell the story of your needs. Because you're trying to show donors exactly what you need, and pictures add context. You can tell the stories visually, but please keep it real. The more authentic you can make it, the more effective it will be, and it tends to work better if you use your own product, your own video, your own photographs, your own words. Polished in this case is not always going to be better. Donors want to connect and give to you and your ministry, not to some airbrushed image of you. As we design needs, we think in terms of 3 different levels of presentation of needs. We call them standard, enhanced, and viral. And you'll notice we've suggested that probably the breakout is going to be that 60% of your needs will be standard, 30% will be enhanced, and we hope 10% will be viral. A standard need is one that conveys the basic message along with text and photos. We consider an enhanced presentation of a need something that's more elaborate, more engaging, maybe even more clever. And a viral need is what we think of as the bestseller. This is where inspiration meets creativity in a moment. This is the one that all your audience shares, and they say, you've got to see this. And that's how your needs get shared and expanded beyond your current donor base. We also want to ask you to think about a marketing strategy. The marketing of the needs should include something for everybody. You'll want a need for every donor type, and hopefully a donor type for every need. So you consider this from both aspects. All of my different kinds of donors and all of my different kinds of needs, making sure that there's connectivity across all points. The whole objective here is to create a connection. You want to entertain, you want to educate, you want to engage donors, you can laugh and cry together. This is why you're presenting needs in the first place. The donors need that kind of connection. So in marketing to donors, start with the ones that you know, the ones you already have. And we suggest that you segment them into categories like A, B, C, and D. That can be by frequency of giving, size of giving, demonstrated passion for your cause, however you want to segment them. But the point is to break your donors up into different categories, because you want to be able to touch every category in some way so that every donor is engaging with some need or another. You want to be sure that there are needs that can appeal to each of them, because these folks are potentially your ambassadors. They're the ones who are going to tell your story for you. That's where the leverage comes from. The goal is to empower your donors to carry your message and your needs out to their networks. I've emphasized that because that's one of the key powers of the GiFTgive solution. They will be the ones that connect you to the new donors that you're hoping to find. You'll also want a communication plan, because what if you threw a party and nobody came? How do your donors know that you've taken up the GiFTgive platform and have posted your needs? You can use email, You can call them on the telephone. You can make a newsletter announcement. You perhaps print it out on a flyer or include it in someone else's printed material, a notice. You could use something as technical as a QR code on correspondence. And of course, you can go out through social media, posting notices on your Facebook page as an organization. But we also want you to think about posting it at the individual Facebook level, because once again, it is connecting their networks that's more important, not bringing them necessarily directly to your network, but going out through their networks. It's maybe oversimplifying it, but it's probably safe to say that when it comes to communicating to your current donor base, that you're putting needs up there for individual support, more is probably better. And you want to use multiple contact channels. We've given you these examples because we want to encourage you to consider everything that might work for you. Another question you'll need to ask yourself when it comes to communication is, how will you direct donors to the site after the launch? Will you use a link on your website that points to your needs store or some similar designation? What about repeated messaging about funding specific needs? Will you be going back to your donors, and how often, and with what approach? These are some of the things you need to think about. Also, you're going to want to create a call to action or an impending event. It's a simple truth that donors need help with focus and action. Of course, you want to clearly mark the way to the checkout counter so that they know how to proceed without any confusion, from identifying your need and selecting it to funding it. You're looking to create within them a sense of urgency about the needs. That helps them focus as well and also makes them act. Now, events that create a sense of urgency can be things like deadlines. Perhaps it's a response to a crisis externally. You might have generated some sort of a challenge of matching gifts internally. Maybe you've set a deadline on the need itself and the time is running out on the funding clock. Any of these or other strategies will work. The point is to find something that generates a call to action and provides a sense of an impending event that demands action now. And that's the point. Help the donor to help you, but help them you now. Okay, let's moving on here to managing your GiFTgive account. These are some thoughts around the administrative and procedural end of the effort that you're undertaking. You'll want to think about who's going to be in charge of your account and who else has a stake in its success. You'll want to assess what kind of manpower and management time and creativity is going to be required to make this work. How many needs should you post? This is an individual choice. You need to think about that. And on what schedule will you post needs? All at once? Regularly? Occasionally? Think about that. And not just how many, but which needs should you post? And how often should you add to them or update the list or change the list? These are the sorts of questions that you need to be thinking about as you prepare to embark with your GiFTgive account. You're also going to have the opportunity, once donors start giving, to learn from your GiFTgive account. So you have questions to think about, such as, when should I start to see some results? And you'll want to define for yourself, what does success in this endeavor look like? Because it's going to be different for everybody. On your dashboard page, you have access to a number of reports that contain data, and you can learn a lot from those reports about donor activity and learn which needs are seeing the best response. You'll want to know how much it all costs. We know up front that there is a small fee that is involved in the transaction itself, but there's a time and effort going on from within your organization to get these marginal dollars from donors that you don't know yet. And you'll want to begin to calculate what you think that costs. The net benefit of that dollar, is it 97 cents? Is it 96 cents? These are numbers you're going to want to think about. Ultimately, you're going to be asking yourself, how do we measure the net impact of all of this effort? Because that's how you're going to know that GiFTgive is working for you to its maximum ability. Then we talk about presenting those needs. And we suggest that you test several ways of presenting the needs. Certainly you'll use text, maybe you'll use audio, maybe you'll use photographs and video. You might even use animation. More channels basically means the chance to reach more donors because all donors are different and they respond to different ways of reaching out to them. Think about where your strengths are in this process, where your creativity is, and where will you want to get outside help. You'll learn which of these ways of presenting needs tends to be the most effective for you. And don't forget, this all needs to happen in your voice, as we put it. The messaging and the content of the presentation of your needs really needs to match the same tone, voice, and message that you've been using in your overall organization and your overall identity. You want to be consistent there. So, we've gone through a number of things. This is summary would say that this overview of steps and decisions that need to be considered in this process as you get ready to post some needs. These are things that you'll do in advance in order to make that a more pleasant and efficient process. You can use our process checklists to guide your progress, which we can provide to you through our website. You can also visit our blog and our support page where there's more information and see more detailed tutorials and articles to help you drill down on the elements of this that you feel you could use some additional assistance on. That's it. I want to thank you for participating, and we welcome your input and feedback.